accused him of blasphemy. They arrested him and took him to the Romans. The Roman had nothing. They believed that it was an attempt to undermine the Roman state. You know what happened? After.
We want to apologize that we had a drop in our network. Our entire system went out. I think it's because of Facebook issues or so. That's what I'm working towards, seeing how best we can actually transfer the podcast on, a main Facebook page so we don't run into this copyright issue. So we went into a stream issue wherein our Facebook page shut down on us on the YouTube and Facebook. So we apologize. We actually went offline. Everything dropped off because of copyright issue. But we're gonna go right back into this. So share the link again for us, please. Share the link. Let's go ahead and get our people back on here. Unfortunately, these are technical issues. These things happen, and sometimes we don't have any or much control over it as well. So until we get our YouTube and our all page back on, I think we're live. We're gonna go right back into the video here so that we don't drop off. I will stop the music because I think it's actually impacting that as well. So, Pete, let's go back to this video.
Vice President Ure, Senator Youngly, all of these people coming. What is it that you want to get in this case?
Yeah, the case is almost like what transpired in Israel between the Jewish people. Jesus was a Jewish, person. The Jewish people accused him of blasphemy. They arrested him and took him to the Romans. The Roman had nothing. They believed that it was an attempt to undermine the Roman state. You know what happened? After.
Attempt to undermine the Roman state. That came from the so-called Solicitor General of the Republic of Liberia, detailing how he got involved with this case, the government of Liberia, and working along with the with members of the opposition. Let me say this: our stream earlier shut down because of copyright issues. We're back on again, so if you're following the stream, please continue to share it. We're back on YouTube. We're back on our other unapologetic page. I'm also live on my page as well. So if you're following, I apologize for the drop in everything and the connection. We hopefully got it right. We will not try to play any content here that's going to actually interfere with that. So we're back again to this particular conversation, and I'm going to go back here to Pete quickly so we can, get into the tick of things. Peter, you heard the Solicitor General, and basically what he was detailing is that the reason why that they got the case in the first place is because members of the opposition reached out to him and saying that they had noticed something that happened and they went and brought the government in. The question here is it safe to say, after hearing or watching that video, that what we have now is the Liberty Party and Mr. Cummings ANC serving as members of the opposition, now representing the interests of the Liberian people going into 2023?
Yeah. Again, Duke, I want to start by just saying thanks for hosting the show, having us on the show, giving us an opportunity to add our voice to our democracy. First, I guess we have to start off by defining what we mean by opposition. Opposition to what? And what's the purpose of the opposition? And if you look at and define what opposition is, if you're just opposing George Weah or the current government because you would like to be in government, you're opposition, but you're not opposing it for the right reasons. And there is another opposition who opposes to George Weah's government because we believe that Liberia deserves better. And the way we go about doing better is by taking the country's resources and actually using it to better the lives and improve standards of living in Liberia. As far as that's concerned, there's only one person doing it. The rest of these people I call 1847 politicians. Same playbook, same exact strategy, same exact intentions, same exact motivations. We haven't had a politician like Mr. Cummings. And you can tell that by how these people, even the so-called opposition, even people on his team, are going after this man. And any Liberian, whether you are into politics or you're not, anyone who respects dignity, who respects rule of law, who respects honesty, who respects integrity, should be really upset with what's going on with this man. We have millions of dollars missing in Liberia, billions of dollars missing. We didn't spend a day investigating. We had to go get an outside team to do that. Here it is, a man is accused of a misdemeanor crime, accused. And we're spending months after months after months, and it's the headlines that every newspaper, every talk show host is talking about this one man. And the government is allocating all these resources to try to convict a man on a misdemeanor trial. If that doesn't tell you that he is the only thing that opposes them or they're afraid of, nothing else will. The rest of these people are there for their own personal gain. They don't talk like he talked. They don't share his background. There has never been a business person outside of politics who have come into politics and has been so viable as a presidential candidate as Mr. Cummings. He doesn't have the back. He doesn't share the background of any of these so-called politicians. Not Ellen, not Boycott, not none of them. Not George Weah, not anybody else. So yes, he is the only person opposing this government and opposing the way in which the government is going about running things and allocating our resources and taking from the people. He's the only one who's saying we're going to use mercantilism. We're going to use the resources of our people to support our people, to put Liberia first, to put Liberian first. That makes him the only politician, viable opposition in this race.
Thank you, Pete. And you struck a great point. Let me go ahead and pivot over to Gabriel. Gabriel, um, you know, we've witnessed this bogus trial extend months, right, after accusations were thrown around. From the onset, within the CPP,
Mhm.
this entire thing. But before you make that comment,
The other parties involved, I mean, your colleagues, just walk us through the process, what happened there.
Yeah, sure. So let me first of all start by saying that this framework document that they allege we altered is a document, tell me, Sekou and Steve, that we operated under for almost 18 months. We went to an election in December 2020. The CPP won senatorial seats under this exact document. There were no issues raised at all for all this period of time. It was only as we began to approach the selection of the standard bearer of the CPP, and then all of a sudden, people found problems with this framework document.
wow. So, Gabriel, go ahead and take it from there.
No, again, thank you for having me here. It's a pleasure being back here. I, if any Liberian who really has the country at heart, if they just watch this clip that you play, which is the actuality of what transpired, well, first you will get irritated, and then at with that irritation, you will try to make some logical sense as to what happened, right? So as Mr. Cummings rightly pointed out, there was election held under that framework document. People got elected, right? Nobody raised an issue up until the party election to say now we're going to elect a standard bearer to represent the CPP. That's when all of this collusion things started happening, right? To go back to the Solicitor General analogy about what happened in Israel, right? The case with Jesus, when he was being handed over, he had a mission, so he had a purpose, right? Even though there were other people representing him, he didn't have to do anything because he had a purpose. But in the case with Mr. Cummings, hey, he has that same credibility as well to actually represent himself, right? And the reason why I say that, if your character that you have carried in corporate America, all of us working in corporate America, we know how stringent it is, how upright you have to be to go without any, record on you, right? If something that you have protected, valued for 40 years without an ounce of corruption on you is now being questioned in a court of law in a country of 4.5 or 5 million people, most people in our case will get upset. Like, listen, I ran $1 billion of corporation budgets in the billions of dollars. Not a penny got missing. Not one person brought me under, questioning. Now I'm here with my colleagues, countrymen, and they're here dragging me in court, right? I said it to say that this is why Mr. Cummings actually went to the extent, right, to hire, uh, you know, uh, uh, Cherry Blair,
Independent. Yeah.
which is the wife of the ex prime minister of UK,
Mhm.
right?
Yeah.
And the reason why he did that could be is twofold. It could be twofold, right? Most people in Liberia do not understand Mr. Cummings' character. They can't speak to that. They know him for the time he was in Liberia, right? They can speak to that. They can interpret the court of law. But in terms of somebody's character in corporate America, right? They can't speak to that, right? So he brought somebody who would say, hey, I know this guy, I've worked with him, I can defend his character, right? It could also be from a strategy standpoint, right? This is, and when he first hired this woman, people started questioning her, right? Who is she, or can she even represent him, right? In any court of law, if you bring a witness, the defendant have the opportunity to cross-examine that person. But this is a lady with stellar reputation, right? She is, when I mean creme de la creme of lawyers, right? At her law firm, she's represented clients in Rwanda, the ex-Rwanda spy chief, who was actually he was alleged of conspiring to kill some NGO uh, uh, people in Rwanda, right? She
Wow.
represented him, right? So this is somebody who has, you know, like, represented war client, right? Even her law firm, go on her law firm page and see who the boards of directors are. Dangote sits on her board of directors.
A successful African businessman.
This is the richest billionaire sits on her board of director, and there are some other credible people on her board of director. She would not want to jeopardize the reputation of that firm and other people that sit on her board of director to go, if this guy was, Mr. Cummings wasn't who he said he claimed to be, to go represent him. So I say that to say that, if you are caught in a court of law, you have you know, the right to pick your own lawyers and pick your people that would defend your character. So this is what he did by picking this lady. But I want to say that before I land, what is happening in Liberia, all of us, right? Whether you want to stay on the business side or you just holding your card to the chest because of how dirty the politics is in Liberia, all of us should be irritated because if any point your goal change to say, hey, I want to go run for office in Liberia, guess what? You will meet these same people in there playing this same tricks. So we all should be defending this man's character as much as he's defending his character as well. Thank you.
Look, Gabriel, you struck a good point, and I'm glad that we were able to talk about the trial and then go to Mr. Comics' decision to hire an independent forensic investigator. You know, you mentioned the name of the Dangote. You mentioned individuals who sit on the board of Sherry's Blair, organization, and I believe it's important because you have to know the kind of people and their character that are actually involved, right, for that firm, and why it is important to understand that these are credible people that would not put their career on the line, right, to put something out there that's untrue. Also, why do you think that particular decision by Mr. Cummings was a brilliant move? And how does it, especially expecting that some of the investigation documentation gathered during that investigation would be released? What do you think? All right, it shows in terms of the government, in terms of the international community. What is the potential danger for a government, right, that continues to force a trial or force a case that's totally untrue? And then we'll come back to Peter.
So for me, I think what I got away, what I took away from that decision was, not only the reputation of the lady, of Miss Claire, right? Her firm is a global firm. They operate in dispute resolution, right? That involves government. She even represented clients against the UK government, right? So these are not, she's not just your regular lawyers, but also what it means, I think from Mr. Cummings' standpoint, you know, what it means by hiring somebody that credible, it means that if you're going to do something, right, you're going to do it to the best of your ability. If I'm going to pick somebody to represent me, I want to pick the best person to do that. But also, what it also, the light that it shares on this government, in terms of this case, it's like, you know, he is taking his hands off. You know, he could have taken a stand and represented himself, right? But he took his hands off and put somebody credible forward to bring this government under light, to question some of the same thing that you and I and every other Liberian is questioning on his behalf. I think for me, that's what I took away from it. Peter, you
Thanks,
might want
Gabriel. And
to
then
add
we'll
to that.
come back to Peter on that question. But let me just say that we're back online live in Monrovia. When we started, we had a little bit of technical issue. I thought that it was a Facebook violation, but it could be something else. But we're back on, and we just want to say welcome to all of those that are listening. We really appreciate it. This is unapologetic, and we'll continue to make sure that we bring forth, credible discussions and information that will be able to educate our people. Peter, we've learned about the wife of the former British Prime Minister being involved in this case, her firm, and we know the quality of people that are on the board of that firm. We talk about protecting Mr. Cummings and his brand and also his integrity. And Gabriel said it. He has worked all this year in for institutions that are valued globally, right? And I want you to shine some light. Why do you think his decision to hire an independent firm to further investigate is important? How does it tie into governance? And what do you think is going to happen going forward in terms of international pressure or anything that comes along when that particular information begin to, go out in the public?
Well, Duke, so what you just did in law, it will be called leading the witness, because it was a great setup. I love it. Because let's start with, how does it reflect on the Liberian government and governance? This trial is supposed to be a kangaroo trial, right?
Yeah.
They're supposed to go behind closed, no cameras, no real reporters in Liberia, um, no transparency, right? So now Mr. Cummings trumps them by saying, I'm going to bring this person who's the top of their field, who record is impeccable, who's a white woman from Great Britain. And she's going to make a ruling on a case that is evidentiary. That means when it comes to forgery, you see it or you don't. There's no theory about it. It's no. There is clear, distinct marks that tell you if this is forgery or not. This woman is going to look at it, the evidence, and say, this is ridiculous. Mind you, Mr. Cummings is saying, and we are saying, this trial is bogus. This is a witch hunt. This is a politically motivated trial. This government is not credible. That's our claim. When she goes, if this government dare try to convict Cummings, and she says, nope, the evidence used against him was fake, and I told them it was fake. I actually went there and told them it was fake, and they still convicted this man. Do you understand how badly and poorly it reflects on them? Not only that, when you hear the likes of Moali, who's never got a real job in his life, doesn't know what professionalism is, Henry Costa, who couldn't get a job in this country if you because his ego is too big for what he's actually qualified for. He needs to either go drive Uber or work in a group home. That's it. But he wouldn't do it because he can't broadcast from there on Facebook Live. So people who have never had any professional jobs in their lives, ever, they don't understand professionalism. They really think that some women will put her credibility on the line that she's worked for all her life, because of some politics going on in Liberia. They believe that because to them, that's a possibility. What she's doing is, what Cummings is doing is, he's showing that indeed this trial is a kangaroo banana boat republic government. So not only my case is, are they persecuting a man like me? How about all the other people with the miscarriage of justice, right?
Mm,
So he's actually helping those people too by being a sacrificial lamb. Secondly, he's going to point to these so-called experts, right? These are the people that wants to lead our country. Listen to what they're saying about her. Do you not understand the trauma we are under? That's what this man is doing. And they don't get it because they have never worked in a sophisticated environment before. That's why they can't get a job. They can't work in a professional setting. They would never be able to, right? So it's a good thing that they accuse Mr. Cummings. I keep saying it. I know this is stressful, it's annoying, but it's going to help us in the long run.
yeah,
That's that
I
silver
agree.
lining in that gray cloud. This is silver lining. I think that it's a good thing that they're accusing him. I love the more Ali pushback when he said, "Who the woman and her husband? Oh, you're gonna make me laugh." I told you, said like they're looking at the sheer ignorance of these people who know absolutely nothing about how the
Nothing.
real
Right,
world works. They
right.
think everywhere is Liberia where you can go pay someone to go lie on you. It doesn't work like that in real countries. So if there's anyone who can go through that, who better than the millionaire with impeccable character, record, who has served in corporate America and they came to get to know? Go after that guy. Let's see what happens.
Hmm.
Absolutely, great spin there, Peter. So we've heard from our side, and I would like for us to go into what happened yesterday. But before I do that, William, are you there?
Lens, yeah.
All right.
Brilliant.
So Matadi, let's hear from you, so our people in Liberia can be able to, hear you too as well. By the way, thanks for the commitments. Thanks for being up this, late to help add your voice here tonight. So you're in Liberia and you see a lot of things. You're a young man. You fit that sweet spot, right? The demographics in Liberia that needs to actually fight for change. You see a trial like this, and you see all of the things that are happening in terms of Mr. Cummings. How does that make you feel? And just from what you've noticed in terms of the whole trial and Mr. Cummings, what have you observed? Right, being in Liberia, because people in the diaspora will bring a different spin, but just from your end, how do you think that this is actually helping per Mr. Cummings' popularity? How is it, bringing young people to the ANC?
Okay, okay. Thank you for the opportunity given me, and those watching in the diaspora and everywhere. I would like to say my name is William Matadi Jr. And for what I observe or what I want to say on this issue is that as a young man living in Liberia, it's actually not fair. Life on this other side is not fair. What I would say, and many young people in this country do not have integrity. Many young people. And from this standpoint of this case with Mr. Cummings, I actually feel bad because Mr. Cummings is the only politician who, in the opposition bloc, is standing his ground and making everything possible using his own financial resources and doing everything so that Liberians can have a better life. But like I previously stressed on the issue of integrity, that many of our young people are now concerned of what they can get to eat. Because I will tell you that Liberians are only surviving, they aren't living their dream life. So many people are only after what they will get to survive their next breath. So it will take them nothing to compromise their integrity to go and lie against someone who has integrity, and it is actually damaging for we the young people in Liberia. It's going to set our country back. It's going to delay our progress, and because this man has come to actually liberate us from our long-standing problem, and I feel so sad that they are actually against him. Seriously, they are actually fighting against him because from every perspective that we in the student or politics at times will go on campus and some of our friends are like, oh, these are the communist men, and then they will be asking our questions and stuff like that, and then whenever we try to give our views, those that have information from the opposite, let's say from the ruling party, they will always tell us that, bro, you don't understand what's going on. This is just a delay tactic, and we know that Mr. Cummings is the only credible source to actually get rid of this just real government. But we are actually playing this as a delay tactic, and we want to delay your so that you guys cannot be focused on your campaigns and what have you. So these are all of the things that are unfolding within Liberia. But you see, every time I follow the case, and I'm one person who I'm always committed to getting the message across of Mr. Cummings about Mr. Cummings because I believe in his ideology. I believe he's an upright man, and my upbringing as an upright person, I actually see that with Mr. Cummings, Liberia will actually change. Liberia will be a better place because the life that we young people are living in Liberia is nothing. It's nothing because many young people, politicians only use them, politicians fool them, and they aren't seeing the reality. They are not seeing it. I will tell you that 60% of the young people in Liberia, I don't know how to describe it. I mean, they are just like following politicians for what they can get. So this particular thing is not going to is not helping us at all. I gave a little scenario of my county from where I'm from, my GB county. Lastly, before I leave, I support this a lady because I believe a female should also take part in politics and stuff like that. I support Clarissa Fajai, but then I noticed that many of our young people from that end, they prefer going to other politicians that have more money rather than voting someone or choosing someone who is capable enough to transform their life. Can you imagine a man who is just an ordinary robot type, or he was lucky enough to serve in the legislature a few years and then later on he was kicked out. But now he's coming back to serve as senators, and because he have the money, and you see all the young people trooping into his camp. So I will tell you lastly before I go, Liberia is actually suffering. And let us continue the fight so that we can change the narrative within the country. We will
So
not
so
get
hold on.
tired.
You're not just leaving. You're not leaving. Right now, because I still need you for one point. But quickly, you will be following and actually covering the Cummings trial pretty soon. But you've also been in the depths of other counties. You've been through Bummy, you've been through Margibi, you've been through Bond County as well. And I believe you see optimism in terms of Mr. Cummings and how we can be able to change this narrative in come 2023. With everything in terms of this trial, what are the bright spots that you see, and why it is important that going forward, young people need to be able to rally more and make sure that we're fighting against the system that's against Mr. Comics.
Okay, okay. This case is actually showing the weakness of this government without them knowing, because the international community is watching, and then even people around are watching, and it is actually making Mr. Cummings popular. But then another question that people might ask, they don't know because few people who do not know Mr. Cummings will get to know him. At least somebody will say, okay, this was a man that they lied on. And then when the case come to an end, and then he's actually he's not convicted and he comes off victorious, which I know that he will. And people will get to know him because this case is actually going wide all around the country. I mean, around the country. And I want young people to understand that this man, because he's integrity man, that this man, can you imagine, because of his integrity, that this is the only thing that he hold up to. So that's why he's even hiring international firm to come and look into this case, because he do not want to take it lightly. I bet you if it was just ordinary Liberian who have not even been in the corporate system before, they would just let it to be Liberians and Liberian. They wouldn't go as far as hiring another international firm to come in. Because I tell you, this woman, her firm is international. It will take you millions of dollars. I don't know, but I guess it will take you millions of dollars to hire such a firm. So because because this man know what character is. And I might not be the person to say, oh, Liberians are not worth it. But I'm saying that let us all see this as an example. Every young person, we should follow his footsteps to know what integrity is, to build our integrity out there, and it will help us. In this case, I'll tell you, Mr. Cummings is going to win it. Those are the
Thank you,
best part
Matadi.
I see.
And that's a great point. And thanks for contributing. I will need you shortly, but let me pivot and before we come to the back end of this conversation, to the next part here. I'm going to play this video again for those who are not following in the beginning.
Vice President Ure, Senator Youngly, all of these people coming. What is it that you want to get in this case?
Yeah, the case is almost like what transpired in Israel between the Jewish people. Jesus was Jewish, person. The Jewish people accused him of blasphemy. They arrested him and took him to the Romans. The Romans had nothing. They believed that it was an attempt to undermine the Roman state. You know what happened after.
We have said it repeatedly that this is political witch hunt. That the reason why you find a sitting government interested in something that's enforceable is because the government gets the benefit, right? And there are members of the so-called opposition, or who used to be part. I wouldn't even consider them opposition. Who are now agents of the government. That video was important because it leads us into a segment here that I want us to go back into. So I believe it was yesterday, and cross examination, and there were a lot of conversation on social media discussing about the former vice president who showed up to the court. By the way, hands in hands with the corrupt Solicitor General of the Republic of Liberia. Serena Cephas was a man who was recently accused by a Liberian lady of partaking in ritualistic healing. In addition, he has been at every major, conversations when it comes to corruption in that country. So shattered credibility. But also, this is a government that the CPP came together, including some of the ones now who were agents of the government, saying that the government did not trust the justice system. The government was corrupt. Economically, the country was regressing, and our people needed hope. Today or yesterday, you saw the former vice president of the Republic of Liberia, who was once one of the most recognizable forces in the opposition, walking hands in hands with we as Solicitor General, smiling and as if they were so happy that they had something. Now he's being nicknamed the star witness for the government. When you see something like that, what does it tell you, Gabriel? And in addition, as proof, yesterday I will come back to Peter on that part in terms of the questions that were asked and the percentage and what have you. But Gabriel, just going back, why is it important that if any person, Liberians, if you had any doubt about what was going on with this current or what is going on with this trial, why that particular moment, that particular singular action, showing the VP and the Solicitor General marching into Temple Justice for this bogus trial, why is it important for Liberians to pay attention and finally get a bigger picture as to what is happening?
No, thank you. I think that's another brilliant question. Again, I know it's loaded, but I will be brief here. So initially, supposedly, it's supposed to be the other members of the CPP that were accusing Mr. Cummings. The question that I think Liberians should be asking themselves, why would a former vice president, right, now be a star witness of the government? That's the question. Like, just ask yourself that question, right? why would a former vice president who, been in power, been in the government for 43 years, you can question his record here and there, but why would he throw all of that legacy away, supposedly whatever was left of it, and now go become a star witness in the government? And at, in addition to that, coming into the courtroom hand in hand with a solicitor general who is part of the opposition that we're supposed to be on the opposition side to trying to get to remove, right? Those are the things that I think should be in the Liberian people's mind, right? In addition to that, I think I will refer that to Peter. But during the questioning, I don't know if most of you have been to jury duty, right? You don't have to be a lawyer. They will send you, you can go to jury duty. You can sit on high profile case. If anybody present a defendant, I mean, a witness, they have the right to be cross-examined, right? If I present a witness, say Duke is my witness, right? I would say, Duke, what do you do? What do you do for work? Tell me about your family, your background. That's me giving the jury your base case of who you are, your personality, your character. Now, I will ask you questions. It will be up to Peter's case. If Peter was the plaintiff, right, the other party, to now cross-examine Duke in that case, to say, okay, trying to poke holes in Duke's credibility, if there were any, right? In that case, there are base questions that should be allowed, base question as to, who this person is, his character, if Peter is questioning the defendant on stage, right? The judge supposed to allow those basic questions to be established. That's him painting a picture of who this person is. Now, if he feels there's something outside of that person's character, then he has the right to leave that out. But I think one thing that I want to segue to Peter on is 97% of the questions that were asked, right, on that cross-examination case, what I'm saying, right? It's pretty much, it seems as if you were shielding this person from answering any question at all, right? If I can't cross-examine, or if you can't cross-examine somebody who will put on a witness stand, who was supposedly the key witness of the state, why did you even bring that person on the stand to begin with, right? But I would like Peter to take that away. Those are the questions I want you guys to think about.
And that's a great point coming to Peter. And this is very important because I think we need to fine tune. By the way, let me just say this. I want to say thanks to all of you for following. I see my brother Mitchell London there. Thanks for following Miata Dakenan, Wante Clark, Tio Good, Roslyn Cooper. A lot of the people out there following today. Thank you. Also, this particular discussion is being carried on in live in Liberia. Listening, we've made our radio debut today on local radio in Liberia, and it is our hope that we'll continue to make sure that we give real life analysis to our people. So please continue to follow, and let's continue to have a conversation. Peter, Gabriel just said it, and I want you to come back. We've always said that this trial was politically motivated. This is a political witch hunt. We've also argued that there's nothing here, right? There's a partnership between the government of Liberia and individuals who are paid agents that actually were layered into the opposition now, making themselves clear. We see a former vice president. Somebody, if the vice president, for any reason, believe that he had any shot at winning the 2023 presidential election, I don't think it would be a wise decision to be this visible with CDC. But clearly, it tells us there's something going on here. And that particular thing, I think there was something now per the entire cross-examination yesterday, that if you had any doubt before, that particular cross-examination should be something that you should look at and say, you know what? Yes, this is what it is.
Evidence.
Lipstick on a pig is pig. Walk like a duck, quack like a duck. It is a duck. Peter, take it.
Yeah, so great segue again. I think we started off saying that there is no real opposition in Liberia outside Mr. Cummings and the LP. There just isn't. And we can talk about that in theory all we want. I call these people 1847 politicians. So when you talk to the Liberian people, what you're going to hear is all politicians are the same. They're right. All the politicians they have seen are the same because they go after the same goal. So it's not necessarily they're paid agents. They're just wanting the same, right? They just want to replace another one and do the same thing. It's just now it's a few years ago, Joel Howard Taylor said it. It's our turn to eat. Liberia is a big elephant meat, and these people who have forever been in government, from the true Whig Party to what they have morphed into, which is UP, these entitled, know very little people who feels like they have some God-given right, some divine right to tell our family members and ourselves. And I said this before I go into the questioning. The reason why I speak up like I do, and I always will, is because I have great empathy. All of us sitting here right now, it could have been us stuck in Liberia, right? Have all the ambition, have all the goals, have all the dreams, and stuck there in Liberia. And it could be my sister, my mom, my family member, who is a woman who needs to go and sleep with these politicians just to make a living. That could be us. Empathy drives us, right? So to see what they're going after, see them going after a man who is so outside of their boys' club, it is an embarrassment. Everyone should stand up. It should be a gut feeling. Now, how do you know they're all the same? Besides the fact, if you look at their backgrounds, you see that there's nothing different for any of them. Okay? Someone just wrote something over here like, the thing is, people don't know Mr. Cummings. Really? What do you know about Joseph Boycott that you don't know about Mr. Cummings? You don't know anything about Boycott. That's a fact. You know nothing about him. You don't know his governing style. You don't know how his managerial style. You don't know his economic worldview. How many jobs has he created? All the things that he talks about. Show me where you could go ahead and talk about how he would like to alleviate poverty. What's his strategy? Tell me what's his passion. What drives him? What motivates him? What's his why? You don't know anything about Joseph Boycott. All you know is he's been in government and he's part of the corrupt, antiquated government system that has taken advantage of people. Furthermore, let's look at some of the questions Joseph Boycott asked. Okay. One of the questions he was asked was, this was an easy one, right? Was it Mo Ali who took the document around? That one they didn't object to it. Say yes. All right.
Yeah.
From there on, 97% of the questions are going to be objected to. Here's some of the questions that these people objected to. Okay. The document was supposed to be signed on the 19th. So they asked this man, so you mean to tell the court that Mo Ali left his house, he went to Buchanan to Young B's house, get it signed, got the copies, left Buchanan, went to Uri's house, got his signed, okay, went to Cummings, went to Sinclair, in the same day now, don't forget, this is during COVID, went to Uri's house, got it signed, went to Cummings, got it signed, okay, went to rehab, got Boycott to get out of his bed, out of his slumber, and signed this document, and then drove back to Buchanan to have Young B sign it before he took it to NC in the same day. That's the question this man was asked. It sounds like a fair question to me. The government said, don't answer that question. Objection. Don't answer that question. The man didn't answer the question, right? And the government let that slide. He can't even answer the question. He didn't get to answer the question. Okay. All right. Next question. You're a political leader at UP, right? You're political leader at UP. Prior to the 19th, are you aware that any members had an issue with a document that you signed on the 19th? You say you signed the document on the 19th. Were you aware that anyone had any issue with the document before the 19th? The document that you signed? Objection, don't answer that one. Don't answer that one. Sustain.
And Pete, can you explain to the people what objection mean? Like what like in the basic man terms?
Yeah.
Yes, I would do that for you because it tickles me. Objection means don't answer the question. Don't say nothing. We don't want the man to answer the question. Right? And the judge said his butt there and said, okay, the man don't have to answer the question.
Right.
Logical, easy questions. They asked the man another question. Oh, he didn't finish that. There are like 100 of these questions. They didn't finish that all. You testified on the 19th, like you told the court on the 19th that the 5 political leaders signed the document. Hear this question. This is one question that smacked my face when I read it. They say you testified that on the 19th, the 5 political leaders signed the document on the 19th in separate locations. Mr. Boyka, what place you were at when you signed your document? Objection, no answer that question.
And what does
This is
that
on
tell
the
you?
record. I'm not joking. This is on the record, Duke. It's on the record, right?
Right.
They're asking this man the simplest question.
Right.
Right? Did you sign the document? Are you aware? They ask him another question. Are you aware the document that you signed? You said that the lawyers were given the autonomy to make adjustments. Did you see the adjustments that were made before it was signed? He goes, that one, that administrative thing. I don't know. Why are you here? So the man's not answering any question. This is on the record, people. You can go read it for yourselves, right? If there is anything I can tell you, these people are colluding together to ruin our lives. Now, here's these people who don't understand white supremacy. They don't understand how the importance of rule of law. We hopefully going to get into how other countries that was built after 1965, the Tiger States, Singapore, Taiwan, South Korea, Philippines, some of the most vibrant economy in the world, how they were dirt poor. How did they get out of poverty? Good governance. That means they were not misusing funds. This is not a joke. They were not stealing from the government. As a matter of fact, let's start with Singapore. They got a lawyer to be a president. So he understood the importance of the rule of law. So because of that, he made sure people followed the law. When that happened, the money that was coming in the country was actually going to where it's supposed to go to. These people became vibrant economy. South Korea, same thing. Taiwan, same thing. I'm not making this up. If these people just open a book, these UP thick degree holders and these other CDC, I don't know what they are, Sakamorians, right? If these people care to open a book,
hold on one second. This deserves an applause, man. Truthfully speaking, it does. The
Sakamorians. Right?
By the way, we're on unapologetic.
Term.
Yes.
You should
100%,
associate
right?
with them.
Yes.
So these people don't do the premise of this discussion is, do we have a true opposition? We don't have any binding ideology. We don't have a common goal with these people.
Right.
The only thing that we have in common is that they don't want they don't think George Weah should be leading, but they think Boycott should be leading. And Boycott has shown nothing that he's better than George Weah in any way. As a matter of fact, he's been longer than George Weah and has no impact in the lives of the young people in Liberia or anyone.
Zero.
If he does, people come over here and type the suggestions that he offered Ellen Johnson to leave, and she turned down that would have turned around the economy or fought corruption. People, that's how other nations was built. Good governance. That means they fought corruption and fixed it. Education, okay? And they use market intelligence. They use the money from the government to actually support businesses in their country. It's a formula to how countries are built. We are not going to let these people continue. This is a joke. It's a joke. We're not fighting. Listen, you guys, we're here to stay. Like you have a real fight on your hand. You can say objection all you want. We're going to be there. We're going to be here. This joke is over. Cummings hired one of the best people in the world, and you're being exposed. That's our job. Yes, UP, I'm here for you, and you guys know it. We're not going anywhere. We're here for you guys. You're no longer going to take advantage of our people, okay? We're going to be here. We're going to fight you tooth and nail. What's the truth?
And you know, Peter, that's a great point. I like this. And look, my people, let me tell you, let me just give credit to my folks here. By the way, we're actually running this live on radio, and so for all of those who've actually worked to make this happen, I appreciate it there as well. As we continue, we will continue to do more and spread it out and get more people on as well. And so, a great point. Now, this was the first part of our discussion, and we will try to take a quick break and come to the second phase. But just to wrap up this first phase, let me just say this: tomorrow, Law Shores and a couple of the folks will be at the Temple of Justice covering the bogus political trial. Also, in the upcoming days, Mr. Cummings and the team, the independent firm, will begin releasing some sort of evidence in terms of what they've gathered thus far. So we'll be on the lookout for that. And as we continue to have this information, we'll delve into the Cummings trial as well. Overall, I think this was brilliant analysis. We will continue to keep people informed, and we will continue to go there. But we did not only want to come on here to just critique everything right that went on. So the next part of our discussion is going to focus on the Cummings 100 days, wherein we're going to get into the nitty gritty in terms of solutions and some ideas and some of the things that we see. We get practical as well. You'll hear Peter talking about governance. Gabriel will come in with his own spin, his own viewpoints as well, and we'll get back. So give us a few minutes. We'll go ahead and run the little quick Cummings commercial, and I'll be right back so we can come back to the next part of our discussion.
It's about leadership in Africa. And until Africans demand the sort of leadership they need to fix their problems, we will have the continuous issues you suggest.
Long before becoming the head of a major political party, Alexander B. Cummings was making history in the corporate world as the first Liberian to run a major section of Coca-Cola, a Fortune 500 company.
First thing I can tell you about him is he has a big heart. He loves his Liberian people, and he always loved Liberian people and his country, always. He's a giving person. He likes to give people the benefit of the doubt. He'll trust you first until you prove otherwise.
I ran the Coke business in Nigeria. I was business unit president for about half of Africa. And then for almost 7 years, I ran an entire Africa group for the Coca-Cola Company.
Born in 1956 at the Old Government Hospital in Monrovia, Alex, the third of 4 children and the only son, he would attend elementary school at Demonstration and high school at the College of West Africa.
Alex and myself, we became friends in 1971. That's about 45 years ago. We met in the 10th grade, and we just became fast friends.
I love music. If people want to know, I actually like to dance. It surprises people that I do. And actually, I think I'm a pretty good dancer, by the way.
He's a good dancer. Yes. But so am I.
The other parties involved, your colleagues, just walk us through the process.
I like that part. He's a good dancer, but so I am. So that is the next first lady of the Republic of Liberia, Mrs. Theresa Cummings. Let me go ahead and minimize this because I'm not sure it is coming up great as well. So let's officially welcome you to the second part of our podcast today. Like I said, thanks to all of you for following here today. Thanks to the entire team. I want to say that if you're in Monrovia and you're listening to the podcast, we are unapologetic. We're on social media. Gradually, I will stop using my page and just use only the unapologetic page. So if you haven't liked it, please go to that page, like it, because we'll be going live and direct from there as well. A great first session. We covered the Cummings a trial. And we believe that, look, we can go into all of the things, but we need to come back to a different point here so we can have a conversation. The first thing I want to jump into, which is the economic session of our discussion, and it has to do with Mr. Cummings' first 100 days. During the discussion, we're going to look at some things, and then we will apply in terms of what the ANC vision is, what Mr. Cummings thinks in terms of developing our economy as well. But everything starts with good governance, and part of good governance, we're talking, about the fight against corruption as well. Today, Mariah Cola, posted something that's been circulating over the past few hours. And, you guys have not taken a look at it. I've not gone to the depth of reviewing it, but This is even, it is further proof as to why we need a change of leadership in Liberia. And regardless of what's happened over the past 6 months from the opposition and those who are regime collaborators, we cannot lose sight of the fact that, Liberia as it stands economically is at the bottom. That our people continue to struggle, that the way administration that claims that they were elected on the grounds of change have not lived up to the expectation of Liberian people. Remember, some of the key reasons, or the key reason why the CPP came together in the first place, supposedly, while other people had their own, political and sketchy thing attached to it. But you remember that there was a major outrage from the Liberian people about the missing $16 billion. In addition to that, Samuel Toy again was at the forefront of what I would call embezzlement, but at the central bank, wherein 25 million the sale was infused into the economy, and there was not anything in terms of accountability. We saw the Pitt and Crow report. Crow independent. Pitt had to do with internal government auditing and all of that stuff, pinpointing that when they asked for documentation, key things to match what they were being told, right? Those things were not provided. And at the end of the core report, it was highly suggested that some kind of forensic auditing was done to be able to get to the bottom. We went through that entire cycle, no accountability, and to this day, everything went down the drain. And we've seen history of corruption. Today, the road fund, it is believed that about pretty close to $27 million have gone unaccounted for, meaning that it was processed to an account to go there, and the monies were taken out. There's no accountability. They do not know what's going on. So to kick off this structure, this particular session, we're talking about governance, we're talking about corruption, and Mr. Cummings and everything. Peter, let's go back to the governance piece and corruption, and I want you to just insert in terms of, how do we fix this, and why is it important that Mr. Cummings' vision, right, can help us turn things around in that area?
So again, another great question, another great segue. So first thing first, we have to understand that we don't need to reinvent the wheel in Liberia. We're not the first nation to go through this. I mean, it might be commonplace in Africa that people siphon money and go away, but it was the same case in European countries. It was the same way in the great United States. So I want to give a little historical context so people understand what I'm talking about, right? And this is what really, really angers some of us, that even though we're not politicians, for full disclosure, people, I don't care about politics. I care about my people. I am an American football coach by profession. That's what I am. The job I have doesn't exist in Liberia. The job I do for a living, okay? How I feed my family. So this is no, oh, you want to be in government, and even the people who does, objectively judge them based on their merit. If it's good, it's good. If it's not good enough, it's not good enough. But just know that's not my motivation. I know about these things because I studied them when I was at university. The great United States in the early 1900s went through the same exact thing with corruption. They were called political machines. And they took money, and they had these people, these mayors that pay for people's weddings. Same thing in Liberia. Pay for funerals, help your family member become citizens, because it was a new wave of immigration to America with the new industrialization. These people were doing that, and they were taking money away. And America fixed it because a president got killed because someone was offered a job and didn't get a job and felt like he should have gotten a job. And it was becoming chaotic. So these people the people in government was like, it's in our best interest not to be doing this patronism, or else more people are going to die, right? A president actually got shot because of it. So they came up with a system. Okay, they came up with what they call the Civil Service Act, whereas you get jobs based on your merit, no longer based on your political ties. And you don't lose your job because someone in government lost their position. America did that. They fixed it with professionalism, and they did it with testing, and they did it with integrity, and they held people accountable who were not following that. So what I'm saying is, I'm going back to tell you that Liberia is not the first one to go through this. We're not. Okay? We need good governance. That means we need the rule of law to lead us. If we don't do it, we're going to continue to suffer. Our people are going to continue to suffer. I'm not third generation into Liberia, into America. I'm a Civil War runawayer. That's who we are. Okay? We could have been stuck there too. We just came here and learned these people's system. Don't tell me, oh, you people in America, I was in Liberia 3 weeks ago. My family, my first cousin, my brothers are still in Liberia right now. Blood, not my brothers who are like black brothers, like brother. My auntie, my uncle, they're there. I was on the ground. I'm barefooted. We were not in government in Liberia. Poor. We just came here and learned these people's system. So good governance is the way to go. That's how everyone did it. Okay, we need to follow the rule of law. We need to set standards. Ask yourself, all these people vying to be our leaders in our country. Ask yourself, tell me what's their expertise? What are they bringing to the table? That's another thing they do in America. You have to be an expert. This is why it's important to have debates. So the debates is not just to argue, it's to tell people, well, I will handle this problem. I think these are major problem. This is how I plan on handling it and fixing the problem. We don't even demand that. George Weah was allowed to run from a debate, mostly because of UP and what they had did to our people, how much they went in that country. I was in a group of these UPers, UPNs, whatever they are. I'm gonna call them UPers, right? These people, I was in a group called
Listening, you know, Gabriel, we have to segue.
It's unapologetic, right?
We're on unapologetic.
I'm sorry,
and whenever we reach a point wherein, you know, this man is actually he's doing something amazing.
Yeah, no, I don't like them, and they know I don't like them. It's no secret, right? I don't like thieves, I don't like lies, I don't like rogues, and everybody that I know don't like people like that. It has nothing to do. It seems like these people who parents who were in government forever have this mentality that they're better than people. Mo Ali, who's never had a job, I told Mo Ali, Google my name and then Google your name, brother. We'll see who knows who. They're quick to tell him and Henry Costa who know you. You put Henry Costa in Google, or you're going to come up with a bunch of Facebook Lives. Let's see what you accomplish. See who you more. No, it's true. These people are quick. When you argue with them, there's no merit. There's no, let's talk about the merit of your argument. Or the logic of your argument is, who know you? Nobody know you. Like, dude, we know you and we know you're broke. Be quiet. Stop talking. Between you and I, who can go in other countries to get a job? Not you, Marley. Not you, Henry Costa. Shut the hell up. Stay in the Liberian community and just pass propaganda because it's not the same. My degree actually carries weight. You don't have one. Not one is valuable. Anyway, these people do not understand. They have never studied other countries. They haven't. That's the difference between you and I. When I argue from a perspective of knowledge. Like I actually looked at Singapore when I mentioned the name. I actually looked at Taiwan. I looked at countries with no resources, with population similar to ours. Countries who were dirt poor, country who was controlled by imperialistic powers, and then countries that were 100%, almost 100% reliant on foreign aid. And they were able to get off of it. Countries that didn't have education, countries Liberia were far ahead of. How did we get left behind? Doing the same old boycotts of the world. The old, cunning, dirty politics, tribalistic, have nothing to offer anybody. If he was not in politics, he would be a beggar boycott. Those people leading our people, getting their butts kicked by their peers. I'm going to say it again. Boycott's peers in Ghana kicked his butt. Look at their country, look at ours. Not our generation. We're here to fight you. I'm going to keep saying this. Unapologetic. This is what we do. We're going to fight you. I'm just telling you the truth.
It's unapologetic. It is.
Let's go.
It is. We're unfiltered here. And that's the beauty. This is the beauty of why we're doing this. By the way, Pete talked about research. Let me say this. These guys, before we come live, we have at least about 30 minutes to an hour wherein we pre-plan, we go over topics, we research, right? to bring you the information. So kudos to them. We take our time doing this because we want our people to be informed. So when you come on unapologetic, you would get the raw stuff, but you'll get people who know what they're talking about. Pete, great point. So let me go in here, Gabriel. I intentionally set the stage for corruption because anything in terms of policies, changing Liberia, one of the most important thing, right? Implementation, it comes to fixing the loopholes. And Mr. Cummings will be the first to tell you, fixing those leakages, right? That continues to take away those financial values, those economic additions, values, and stuff for our people. And that's what governance and that part was really, really nice, that Peter covered. Now, I'm going to go a little bit. Let's talk about the 100 days. And we will start by under the context of building a vibrant economy. Gilbert, you do this, man, and you're good at what you do. Let's walk our people through. What first and foremost, from your own perspective and using your own background, your expertise, let's talk a little bit about the concept of building a vibrant economy, and then going into what we've seen in terms of the ANC, policy, agenda, and Mr. Cummings 100 days. Some of those things, preferably small business, and other things that can be those kickstarters for spurring economic growth.
Yeah. No, Duke, thank you again. And I think Peter actually, alluded to some of the things that points that I want to make in terms of, how we can emulate countries that that were in the position that we're in right now, and how we can, get to building, a vibrant Liberia that Mr. Cummings always talks about, right? Um, when I think one of the things that he mentioned was that we can we can grow the budget up to $1 billion. People balk at that, you know, as if this is some, quantum physics that he's trying to solve, right? Uh, I say this to say that
Oh, God.
growing an economy to, you can set a goal to say, I want to create 100,000 jobs or 200,000 jobs, even either every month or every year, right? Growing in an economy is very simple, right? And I will be as brief as possible as I can be, and I'll try to make this as simple as I can be, right? So I work in the banking world, right? I don't like to tell people this, but I manage about $300 million portfolio companies, right? This is all we do
Let me
every
say
day.
this before Gabriel land. This is expertise. This is somebody who knows what they're talking, and we can relate to this because we play in this arena. Go ahead, Gabriel.
Right. So every day, this is what we do, right? And I tell people, I think one thing that Mr. Cummings always says, and that always sticks to me, is that he wants to make the biggest impact at the presidential level, right? He feel that the impact can be made at the presidential level, which I agree. You know why? Because if he gets to that level, he's able to reform the financial institution to do that at that level. Well, I believe as well, the biggest impact for any president in terms of creating jobs in Liberia starts at one, structural reforms. Some of the things that we talked about, where money is going to missing, audits being done, but nobody's being held accountable, right? Those structural reform, reforming our financial institution, right, and making sure we have a banking sector that is equitable. Now, once you get those down pat, will probably be ad hoc, probably in your next 100 days or so, right? Then you start creating jobs. Now, the reason why I want to speak to this is that we have the SBA system here, right? The Small Business Administration. We do have that in Liberia. The only thing, just like everything else, we have it, but we never use it, right? You can create jobs by incentivizing people. What do I mean by that? Let's say, Duke, you have the Farmington LLC company, right? Let's say you started in Farmington with you, myself, and Peter, right? You grow that into, let's say, $2 million company, and you say, whatever I'm doing here in Farmington, I like the idea. People like it here. I want to expand into, let's say, Kakata, right? And you go to a bank. They say, okay, you want to expand. We like the business idea, but hey, guess what? You on a cash flow basis. You don't have enough collateral. We can set up it can be created as a government subdivision, or we can do this in partnership with the bank. We can give you, the government can take half of the risk of you not having collateral, and the banking that's going to do the underwriting take half of that risk, and we both share that risk and be able to give you money to expand. If you expand in Calcutta, guess what you're doing? You, myself, and Peter won't be the one working there anymore. Guess what? You're hiring people in that place to now be running that division of your company, right? That's jobs you just created. Whether you have you hire 3 people or so, right? Now, let me tell you about the multiplying effects, how we call it in economics, right? Let's say you hire 3 people in that expansion. That person is going to be paying income tax. Your entity is going to be paying corporate tax to the government. That the person those 3 people that you hire, they have family they're going to be feeding, they're going to be spending within the economy. Those are the multiplying effects. It is basic ABC as I've just laid it. So when you hear somebody tell you that creating jobs takes, you can't do that. Those are just, as Peter was saying, those are just the 1847 politicians that are just there that are trying to, sideline you because they don't want somebody coming in there. I want to talk a little bit about the banking sector. We're on a fractional banking sector. Another thing that hinders Liberia is that our banks are not capitalized, right? What I mean capitalized. So in an economy, you don't just get up and say, oh, the economy needs money, I'm going to go print money. Business transaction, if I come and made a contract with you, or you go and take out a loan from the bank, that note that you signed, you have just created money that it can take to the central bank, and that multiply that by businesses in the country, that will now create a demand for the central bank to say there's a lot of business activity happening in this country. Let's print money and inject it in this country, but there's less because there's a lot of activity. It is just once we get to that point where people can recapitalize the bank, we can recapitalize the bank. We will be able to, in a period of 3-4 years, we will be able to change Liberia to see the impact in our country. Right. So when you hear people tell you about, oh, we can't create jobs, you can't do this, you can't do that, those are just, like I would use Peter's word, 1847 politician.
Can I quickly jump in, Duke? That's brilliant. I want to say something with what Carter said before he goes. Cummings, because he's a businessman, so is Duke. That's why he sarcastically laughs at Lobo and laugh at these other people, because they understand how money is multiplied. Cummings knows that. That's his expertise. That's what Carter does. They're talking crazy millions and sit back and say, what are these people doing talking about? It's not that these people not only don't know, they're not interested in that. They're interested in doing what UP did.
Yeah.
They want the money. They want access to our money to put in, to launder it, put in bank accounts, come to America, buy homes, sit there and chill and then have kids here and call them Americans, right? Yeah. Those people don't have no nationalistic pride. They don't. Boycott is a tribalist. I'm a nationalist. There's a major difference in that. Okay. I have Liberian pride. I understand what it is to be Liberian, because I left Liberia and came to a country that reminded me at my very impressionable age that I was Liberian every day. And that mark is staying in me. I would never, never forget how I was treated because I was Liberian. Boycott don't get that. He doesn't understand what it is to be nationalistic. Cummings understand how to multiply money. Yeah. And that's all Carter's just saying. Businessmen, that's why people get MBAs. They go to school for that stuff. You have to be brilliant to be accepted, not to get taught, just to be accepted in those universities before they teach you. You have to be brilliant. Yeah. And now people are downplaying, like, oh, he's selling. Every time I hear him, he's selling sugar water. I'm like, oh my God, why does this person have to
That's out of ignorance.
That's out of ignorance.
But why does he have? But it's some of these prominent people. Why do you have access to anybody hearing you? Like, shut up, right? These people are keeping us poor. They're the ones keeping us poor. If you think about what Cummings is saying, I want to hit a couple of points on the boycott people before I shut up on this topic. No, this is big to me, right? If you ever hear about boycott,
he's riding shotgun tonight.
Yes, he is. You see, for the first time, I feel like I'm not the one being complained about, right?
That's fine.
He's so radical.
Go right
ahead. I want them to complain about me. Go ahead. They know me. As a matter of fact, if I was riding shotgun, I would have a real shotgun and bust at them tonight. Here's how it goes down, right? Let me talk about the boycott people, right?
Right.
What's their biggest thing they're selling? Agriculture, right? Agriculture. Let me put a little hole in the little bubble, right?
Right.
There is this thing called Liberian people. Listen, Western countries are protectionist.
Thank you.
I don't think you guys know what. Some people don't know what that is. But guess what? I am.
But hold on, we gotta give you. Like I said, on unapologetic. Once we hit something, this man is bringing it to
Let's go. Let's
so
go.
we gotta give it to him.
We
gotta give it to him. Are you guys having applause?
We're hearing it. We're absolutely hearing it.
Yeah. Great.
I'm gonna break something down to these Facebook famous Liberians, right? Like Quebec. Quebec is as famous at Henry Costa, by the way, because nobody knew where she was at. But anyway, Western countries are protectionist. Let me break it down to you what that means, right?
Yeah.
That's what we do as educators. I don't know nothing about your government, but I kind of know how the world is kind of put together a little bit. Protectionist means that they're going to protect their interest, right? This is the purpose of imperialism. Imperialism is we need African countries, sub-Saharan countries, to be the providers of raw material. Whereas we're an industrialized country, we are going to take your iron ore, your gold, your diamond, and then we're going to turn it into stuff, and then we're going to sell it back to you and sell it to our people. Meanwhile, because they're doing it, because they're doing that, they have a middle class economy, right? It's all about protecting the middle class. Okay. Boycott people always talk about two things, right? Two of the dumbest things you will ever hear about because they don't know how countries are built. Number one, they talk about first thing boycott was talking about roads. I think he was hearing road because people were trying to get his attention because him and all these people are rogues. But he's take that and said roads, right? Okay. We're talking about roads. Real
My brother's got a box of crayon for God's sake.
Real countries didn't use roads; they use railroads. We'll get to that on a different day, right? These dummies just talk because they talk. The countries that came from poverty did not build roads; they built railroads because it's way more efficient, it's quicker, and it gets the job done. Anyway, boycott. We're not going to touch that right now, Judge Lobo. Let's sit down and debate one day about how countries are built. They talk about agriculture. Western nations are in what's called an amber box. There is a penalty you pay when you start artificially changing the prices of your agriculture product. So the World Organization will charge you and say, penalize you for doing that. You're not supposed to, because there's supposed to be this objective competition because we live in a capitalistic world, right? Those who are not in a communist country, we just isolate. Okay, let me tell you what that means, people in Liberia. That means when they talk about mechanized, I heard someone saying that another boycott idiot because they don't finish reading books because they only read the cover of it and then they kind of spew crap. Like, I'm dead serious on this, Duke. These people just like they are so theory driven, right? They don't even I don't know what school they're learning from. Okay, you can build the country on agriculture. I'm not going to go into how you get it done, but you can't do it the way they're doing it. There goes, I heard one of the Bokaians say that we're going to use mechanized farming and then put our people to work. Don't you think those are polar opposites? Mechanized means you're going to use machines. People means you're going to use people. Which one are you going to use? Machines or people? You can't use mechanized farming and put our people back to work. That's number one. So we have the best farms in the world. Where are you going to sell the apple, banana, and since we need to infuse foreign capital in the country?
Ask that question again, my man.
Where are you going to get the money from? Where's the foreign capital coming from? Who are you selling your potato and your banana to? Because Western country protects their farmers. They actually pay them not to farm. And the only reason they let food products come out of South America is because of geopolitical reasons.
Yeah.
Okay, go learn something. You don't know what you're talking about. They're going to protect their farmers. So whereas Liberians have their middle class in the West, who's going to buy our banana and apples? How's it going to come in? The Americans are not letting that come in on any industrial level. So what are you talking about? We need direct foreign investment. How do you do that? Easeability of business. We speak English already. I will get into that on another day, not tonight. But this is why I started paying attention to Cummings, because I heard this man speak about this a long time ago. We speak English. We are also on the coast. There are so many opportunities. Farming is not one of them. It's not one of the better ways. Eco-tourism, like you talked about. I was just in Ghana last year, did the eco-tourism thing. Westerners everywhere, millions of dollars have been spent. These people don't talk or think like that. This is the reason we're suffering. Our people are suffering, and they're entitled. I'm going to fight you, people. We're going to fight you. We're going to fight you tooth and nail, and we're here to embarrass you.
Yeah, and Peter, another solid point. And before I go back to Gabriel, I'm going to be practical a little bit, and this is bring some real life. You'll probably get this. Mr. Cummings always talk about wealth creation. One of the things that he mentioned, he saw, or he has noticed, is that even some of our business owners, they're not really amassing wealth like they should, right, from the businesses. And I try to I try to do a further review of what's actually going on. You go into the banks, and a lot of the options they have for small business owners are only regular DDAs. And in a society wherein you have a high inflation rate, we all know what happens with money just sitting, in a liquid, option there, right? Right. So I think in terms of that aspect, that's one of the value addition. I think looking at financial sector, banking sector, and overhauling, those are some of the value addition, right? That we will see because giving people all of the options needed, because people are just not going to make business because of one business. We need to make them profitable, and to also have a three-pronged option, monies that can go back into the business, monies that can be liquid instead of needed for emergency, but also start focusing on retirement, long-term goals, right? And also amassing wealth and other things. So those are key areas as well, right? And that's what I want. We talk about the small business part. The ease of doing business, something that's very difficult in Liberia. Corruption in the United States, on average, probably $100, 120 something bucks. Article incorporation, get your EIN, you get started, you're good, right? In Liberia, it probably costs more to register a business than in developed nations. In Rwanda, it is way 3 times faster than even the Republic of Liberia. So let's touch down a little bit and talk, and then we'll probably do about 5-10 minutes of this, and then we'll probably try to bring this to an end.
Right. No, again, thank you. That's another brilliant point. And when you hear the government say the country is open for business, it's there's a thing we call reveal preference. You can tell me who you are, but I can watch you and tell you who you are, right? We tell ourselves that we're open for business, but we're not really open for business. We're not really. Liberia is not open for business. Like for example, some of the things you mentioned, the ease of doing business. It's to open to just be able to go online and register a company or even get your business certificate. It is difficult, right? The same thing. Like some of the countries that Peter was mentioning, Ireland was one of the countries that I read up on, right? Ireland was at a place in time where their whole Ministry of Commerce were pretty much like a marketing division for the company, where they were literally on international road shows pitching to these tech companies like the Googles, the Apples, right, to come into the country and do business. When have you seen that happen? Have you seen the Ministry of Commerce doing anything, or the NIC, the National Investment Commission, right, doing any of that to pitch to those people to come into the country, right? So when you hear those people say we're open for business, no, they're not open for business. I go back onto I like to talk about the banking sector because sometimes it irks me when I see how we are, and I see how, like, if you see here in this country, when Obama came and we were in a recession, he passed tax law, right? And there were capital injected into the economy. When Joe Biden came, we were in a pandemic. What happened? We got money directly, and we had the PPP loans, right? I say this to say that our central banks has one of the biggest responsibility to transforming that country. How? Right? If the banks in Liberia right now, for all the banks in Liberia, they're pretty much just deposit taking. They don't have a lot of products. We don't have a mortgage. We don't have auto financings. We don't have an agriculture bank. Now tell me, for the UP government, I said they come in and want to finance agriculture. How are you going to finance those people? What are you going to get the money from? Right? Now, most of the banks in Liberia, all of them, what they do, they're lending to a very niche group of people, which are people that are in government, who are working in government, and those, like, I hate to say it, but the Lebanese and the Mandingo, who have a little bit of money, right? Who they claim they think can pay back money. Now that is good enough, but what it does, it poses a bigger risk to the country and to the banks itself, right? What it does is, if the government defaults, the government stop paying people, I mean, most of those people that work in government, you lend money to, they won't be able to pay back the bank. That create a liquidity problem, right? So we said we were open for business to do business, but we stifle ourselves in ways that are so very simple that we don't even pay attention to, you know. But I hope you guys can still hear me here. I think I'm not hearing myself. Can you guys still hear me?
No, we can hear you. I hear.
Okay, all right,
We're
perfect.
enjoying everything you're
Right.
saying.
So I say that to say that, we as I said earlier before, to create jobs in this economy in Liberia, it's very simple. And I think the reason why, I think everybody, you and myself and Peter and everybody else in the diaspora knows that, even in Liberia, the people know that, is Mr. Cummings has a track record of doing that, right? I say that to say, I don't know if you read, I think you read his book, what he was profiled in by McKinsey, right?
Yes.
The argument that people make is that, oh, he never worked in government, which is true, but he's dealt with the government and dealt with bureaucracy. You know why? Because you cannot just leave when you're running Coca-Cola. You can't just go leave America and say, I'm going to open a Coca-Cola factory in South Africa. Guess what? There's protectionism. What if there's a local manufacturer there? You have to deal with the government. There's a lot of bureaucracy you have to deal with. So all of those, his experiences of working in those various countries, right? He has developed those experiences, right, to create, not just create jobs, but be able to navigate the bureaucracy that we have in government as well. So you take that, the private sector experience, and you bring that, which is part of it, has to do with understanding government and how government work. You put those together and put everything together of somebody who's been creating jobs, in an entire Africa and done it at the bigger level. Bring somebody else and put them side by side and tell me who can compare to that individual, right? And this is the Liberia we want. This is Liberia we want. The Liberia I think we all want is like, I was here in America as a 17-year-old working after school. I will work 4 hours, right? In college too, I work throughout college. We want that kind of economy in Liberia, where if somebody in college, they should be able to work, or they graduate college, they should be able to get a job, take care of their family, and live a decent life. Why can't we have that? Why can't we have that? Why haven't we have that since 1847? Why can't we build that kind of country? Right?
Yep.
And that is the kind of thing that I think most Liberians want to see. This is the kind of economy that most Liberians, like what's his name, William was just talking about, right?
Yep.
Liberians are resilient. When I mean resilient, let me say one point before I land and I'll rest here.
Yeah.
I was just in Liberia in about 3 weeks ago, right? What I did, I traveled by road from Liberia to Sierra Leone, right? Now you go through Bomai and you go through what's the other thing? Uh, there's two counties you go through.
It's a
The
Lofa,
roads,
right? You
no,
go
not
from
Lofa.
the
It's
what's not what?
No, Bummy and Grand Cape Mount. Bummy and
Grand
Grand
Cape
Cape
Mount.
Mount,
Okay.
right? The roads that lead from Monrovia to go through the border of Bowater side, which is the border. Like some places, the road's so tiny. When you reach there, you gotta park. You gotta park on the side where the other car come in. You give way, they will go, right? The potholes, right? There is no infrastructure. Now, at the border of Liberia and Sierra Leone, the people have, like, the highways are just like Sierra Leone highway, just like here. You can do 80 miles, 100 miles there. The Liberians that were in Liberia on the Liberia side, they're working on the Sierra Leone side. You look on the Liberia side, there's no activity there. But these people, you go on the Sierra Leone side, you will see Liberian people, kids working, right?
Business
That's how
activities too.
yeah, they're on the
Wow.
on the Sierra Leone side. That's how resilient these kids are. And if you go through our Liberia, you see the resilient people want to work.
So
They
Sierra
just
Leone is providing jobs to Liberians.
thank you. That's
And
exactly the point
small
that I'm
business
making.
owners
Right.
find that they have more economic activity in terms of purchase or market goods
Right.
in another
So they
country.
operate on the Sierra Leone side. Yeah.
Listening to that.
Yeah. So
Listening to that.
that's the kind of resilience I tell you that Liberians have. Other than that, it could have been, in the Grand Caymount County where there's nothing happening and just say, hey, I don't have anything. But these people want to work. Liberians are resilient people. You make a country that is equitable, where there is fair banking laws where people can get loans, equitably across all gender, race, tribal, religion, where you don't have to put label on people that they can't pay back loan. Liberia will be transformed, and that's what I wanted to say
Yeah.
before I land on that. Thank you.
Thank you for listening. Great conversation, and I think we achieved a lot of things here tonight. To all of our people following Radio Land on Facebook, we want to say thank you all for always supporting us and always being here. But let me say this and make this commitment. Unapologetic is going to be around weekdays, 8:30 Eastern. We will continue to find good conversations to talk about, right? So, gentlemen, let's reach to that closer point. So we're getting in our final thoughts across because I know Peter's got to sleep and stuff. Gabriel, you got work.
Yeah, I'm an
And,
old man.
I got some stuff on it, right? Exactly. So let's just go. We've had both discussions tonight. In conclusion, Peter, back to you. Let's go ahead and leave a few points from your end.
So I want to start where Gabriel left off, right? I think what happens is people who don't win, again, this is not about me, but I can only see the world through my prism. I work in a field where I'm an educator, but I told you guys I coach for a living. You win or you get fired. Done. It's not personal.
Produce.
You win or you just go find a new address. You and your family pack your stuff. You got to win, right? So because of that, you don't have the luxury to say, "Oh, my starting quarterback, he was hurt." Oh, he was hurt. We understand that. You're fired. So in Singapore, that's one of the more diverse countries there is. They were able to escape poverty, abject poverty, and now they're one of the top 5 economies in the world, bigger than Japan's, right? So they have, and theirs is so deep, it's not just tribal, it's religion, it is national, and these people don't really kind of like each other. But because of the rule of law, they have to all get along, and now they do, right? So I'm saying we can overcome our differences, the tribal whatever, if we do what Mr. Cummings says, just make the bowl of rice a little bigger for everyone, right? So when people focus on what drives them, right? So it's self-preservation is the first rule of survival. So if people care more about how am I going to make a living than my tribe, when all those things are gone, that's when people started to look for those scarce resources. That's what the issue is. The 1847 politicians like Joseph Boycott, right? Like I said, he failed. His generation, they kick his butt. I'm talking about his peers, right? In Ghana, in Nigeria, people your age that started in government with you. Compare your country that you was building to their country. You lost badly. Go sit down. Go sit down. You don't get to tell children what their future is going to be. If you knew that the secrets to fighting corruption, you would have told Ellen Johnson Sirleaf. You would have told her that. She would have taken that because she came on national TV and said, "We have lost the fight against corruption." If you knew how to turn our education system around, you would have done it. She wouldn't have said, "Our education system is a mess and I'm ashamed of it." You would have offered those things. You were number 2 for 12 friggin' years.
Right.
I was in group and I listened to you guys argue about who stole more money. Mo Ali were accusing other members of UP of stealing money and running away with it.
Wow, that's
and
a trap.
for a fact he said
that's sad.
And they know that. Okay, and I have screenshots to prove it. UPers fighting each other. Okay, so stealing money. I have receipts, brother. Permanent receipt, digital receipts. Okay, so let me go back. Scholarships, right? One of the scholarships that UP use. One of the things to talk about, dude. If you put together a system, you don't have to pay scholarship to kids. They make their own scholarships. University, I work. This is what I do. Universities pay for the kids to feed themselves, clothe themselves, go to school for free. You just got to create a system where they hit the scores and the marks. And like you said, Duke, like you said,
Savings
Gabriel,
about
our
probably $8
kids,
to $10 million.
our kids, exactly. Our kids are brilliant. I was just in Liberia 2-3 weeks ago. I don't know why I didn't run into you. Maybe you're not a calabash. That's why. Our kids are brilliant.
I don't do all of that. I go in, I put my dirty
in the
jeans
different
on,
areas, right?
undercover.
Brilliant, right? Our kids are so resourceful. They're so smart. Imagine if you just give them good teachers and give them a good environment and feed them what they can accomplish. You don't have to spend no money on those scholarships. You don't spend young B Conga Lawrence. You don't even know anything. You just go pay people to go to Rwanda. Build schools. Build foundational schools for our kids. You don't have to do that. You don't have to do these political things. 90% of the money our country is spending, recurring expenses. How the country is going to grow? When are we going to stop paying back the loans we already owe? When? And here's the thing: it won't be a problem that George Weah is stealing money and spending money his, but not when you have 90% recurring expenses. You don't get to drive around in private jet. You don't get to build a little field, you call it a park, that only you and your old people with big gut get to play at. You don't get to the parks for kids and dogs. And you're not a kid, so I'm not going to say what you are. Okay? You don't get to do that, live in luxury, and send your girlfriends to Turkey for their birthdays. You don't get to do that when we're struggling for money and while people are starving. That's the problem. Okay? You don't get to do that. Countries have gone through this before. This is my closing, Duke. The great United States, right? Because of what Carter just talked about, there come a point, right? We used to have this thing in this country where people paid money. What's it called? It's called installment buying. America didn't make money like that before. Installment buying is credit. So you get these registration numbers, like in America, it's called Social Security number. In Ghana, they have it now. You give people credit. You create low-skill jobs. You give people credit. So that way, they don't spend their whole income on buying one object. They could pay little by little. This is how America did it. This is how they came out of poverty. This is how they grew this economy. Installment, something as simple as that, right? National ID card with registration numbers. You use that. You create jobs. Like I said, we speak English. We're right on the coast. We can put renewable energy 10 miles into the ocean. No one ever get to see it. We can not just supply Liberia with those millions that George Weah and his people and Samuel 12 with a dishcloth face, the money that they're stealing, and Lieutenant McGill has big gut, like with poo-poo oil in it. That's all you looking like, a pregnant goat. I mean it. Okay, that murderer, the money they're stealing, they could take that money and invest that in renewable energy. And we can have reliable internet. We speak English. We can have reliable electricity. Here's why that's important. We speak English again. We can have call centers in Liberia. You guys know this. When you call for your phone or for your bank, you're talking to someone in India. Go call Amazon. You're talking to someone in India. Why are you talking to someone in India? Yes, they outsource it because it's cheaper.
Cheaper labor,
We
cheaper
speak
cost.
English.
They don't want
in
to deal with the
Liberia.
unions.
Yes, they
Right?
don't. You have to pay health care. We speak English. I know Liberians right now that work in this country work on computer. So there's something wrong with your computer, you can send to some Liberian kid right now in Liberia if we have steady electricity, and because he speak English, and he can fix your computer right over the phone. We can't do it because Samuel 12 and George Weah, they're stealing money and putting it in their accounts in France. So when their turn is over, they're going to move out the country. No, you're not. We're going to recover that money. You are destroying lives. That's what it's about. It's not about, oh, you're just stealing money. You're destroying lives. You're destroying lives. That's not how it works. Okay? Last thing. We talk. Carter talked about bureaucracy. Mr. Cummings understands bureaucracy. He brought a Fortune 100 company. That's what I'm gonna call it
into
to
Africa.
sub-Saharan Africa
Yeah.
with in the most corrupt government. And you can't lose a penny with these people. You think they're going to hand you a billion-dollar company, a few billion-dollar company for some African guy that no one knows to take? Are you crazy? Do you understand the type of intelligence this man had to have for those people to trust him? That's the person Liberia has at their beck and call. And we say we don't want him. We want on the fake old guy, Joseph Boyka, not on our watch. His generation, those days are over. Thank you, Duke.
Listening. Look, let me
Brilliant,
tell
Pete.
you this. Let me say this. You know, we are redefining the space, and we're bringing together, you know, a collection of individuals who know what they're talking about, and the delivery is something that, you know, they're comfortable with because they have a body of experience in stating these things. Pete, I want to say thank you so much. No, listening, we got a long way to go, and I know we'll be back here. But Giver, let's hear from you.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know how I can top what Pete did. Pete, that was brilliant. I think what you just did, it's what the, you know, well-meaning Liberian that are sitting on the sideline that are afraid because of what is happening in Liberia need to hear to say, okay, if he is able to come out, somebody with no, who doesn't have any political interest is able to come out and voice his, speak his truth. You know, I too can come out because there are many people like yourself who are sitting on the sideline who want to be involved in their country, but they see the dirtiness and you know the insult of the politics. You know, look how they're dragging Mr. Cummings in court frivolously on charges, and they say, you know what, I will just retire here, enjoy my money, and call it quit. Right? You know, it makes them. But people like you speaking your truth, I think what it would do, it will awaken other Liberians who have well intentions for the country or don't have no interest in politics at all but want to go back and retire in the country, or eventually it will awaken them to say, hey, if this guy with no, who doesn't have no political interest in the country is speaking his truth of what the kind of country he wants to see, you know, we can do the same thing too. You know, they will come crawling from underneath, you know, them you know, the hiding places and come out. And I want that to see, I want to see every Liberian participate in Liberia politics or in Liberia itself for what it is, right? So thank you for speaking your truth. I want to close on this, right? You know, as I always tell people, I feel the same way about you too. Like I have no interest in politics, right? I just want a country that is, you know, like you said, where everybody is, you know, is thriving. Like you said, if you work hard, you go to school, you work hard, you graduate, you should be able to get a job. The reason why that got to me when I was in grad school, right? I went to school with Nigerian, Chinese, Kenyan, right? These people were getting out of school, they were going back to their country to work, to the point I even tried to find a private sector company in Liberia, but that was not available, you know. So that's when I started getting curious to say, this is, I can't be in this alone. I can't be feeling this by myself, right? There's many other Liberians who felt this way, where, hey, you just come out here, you get your education, you want to go back to your country and work in the private sector, right? Um, but I say this to say that, you know, some of the things we talk about, you know, whether the structural reforms that need to happen, the corruption that that happened, you know, some of the report that came out, the National Road Funds, where the audit was done, right, with that level of money missing, and nobody has said a word. No investigation has been started to say, hey, this money is missing. We need to start, you know, putting feet to fire. Nobody is saying that. Those are the tip of the iceberg of what is wrong with Liberia. What do I mean by that? Our debt to GDP right now is 53%. What does that mean? For every dollar we make in a year, in a 12-month period, for $1, now this is how it breaks down to. For every dollar, we owe 53 cents on every dollar we make. 53 cents. Imagine you making a dollar and somebody's taking more than half. You owe more than half of what you make. That's how they. But we don't talk. You know, that doesn't get, you know, a lot of attention. If Liberian was seeing how much debt we were getting into, like people would panic right now and take up torches and go take that government out. You know, but we don't pay attention to that. You know, In addition to that, the next president who's going to come in, Mr. Cummings has his work cut out. And the reason why I think he's the only person that can do it, we've already lined that out, right? Whether the structural reform, you know, creating jobs, whether in the tourist, ecotourism, employing the youth, bringing women into our government, building the economy, the agriculture, the infrastructure, to make sure that every county, have, roads accessible to them, right? Those are the things, the conversation we need to be having, right? Those are the conversation that I think Liberians should be paying attention to. That this is the kind of Liberia we want for every Liberian, right? Whether you feel that you need to be in politics or not, whether you're going to be on the private sector side, you need a well-functioning court system, right? If I get in a contract with you and you tend to, go left on that contract, I should be able to bring you to court and be able to make sure that there's a business court that can rule fairly on that without you having to go in the back end and put money in their pocket and rule in your favor, right? So I agree with you, what you said earlier, that it's a good thing that Mr. Cummings is feeling what is happening to him, because when he gets into that, right, he will be able to strengthen this. He will be able to fix the court system, because it is, when you hear dirty, corrupt, and he's seeing that. So when he gets in, he will be able to strengthen that. But I think for us, who are, talk about these things, these are the things we need to be talking about. And I think there's no better person who can actually do that than Mr. Cummings. I absolutely believe that. We just don't come out all the time and say we talk about it, but we know within ourselves there are many other Liberians like you and I who are actually in the background who believe that, but they're afraid of coming into the limelight to talk about these things because they don't want to get attacked. They have families, because every time you open your mouth, they come cursing your family or they come after you. So thank you guys again for having me. Duke, it's always a pleasure. I know this won't be the last time. Pete, man, that was a home run. That was a home run.
It's a home run. Home run.
That was a Barry Bond home run.
Yes,
Thank you. And
yes,
I think, as I said, you have awakened a lot of other people who didn't have that, strength to say, I want to get, I want to talk about these things, even though I might not be interested. So it's a pleasure being here with you guys. Salute.
Thank you guys listening. This was a great conversation, and a round of applause for all of you. And let me say this. Dr. King says life's most persistent and urgent question is, what are you doing for others? Some of us do this not because we want popularity, not because we think we can get a following, not because we think that we want to belong, but because we see there's something fundamentally wrong with our country and with everything that we've described today. The only way we can change things in Liberia, if all of us together collectively can work towards providing solutions and getting behind leaders that have our country interests and can give us the type of leadership that we need.
Intentional, yeah.
You heard that from Matadi tonight. You heard it from Peter. You heard it from Gabriel. We have work to do. We cannot allow individuals who have been part of the system to determine how we reshape this narrative. Look, believe it or not, at this point in time, it is about certain individuals and the system that they're obsessed with versus a change agent in Mr. Cummings. And we can't do this alone. We need all of you on this ride as we find our way through it. It's not going to be easy. It will be difficult. There'll be a lot of challenges. But I'm telling you, every time collectively we can speak to the issues, we can address those present issues, we will be able to move the needle in terms of how people see, Mr. Cummings and his vision for Liberia. Tomorrow, the team from Monrovia, Jallah, is going to be covering the Cummings trial. In addition, William Matadi will also be, joining the crew on his own to see how best we can provide live feedback. On Unapologetic, we run an unfiltered show. We want to make sure that your voices are heard and that all of the things that we're doing can educate our people. Tonight was great. Tonight was beyond awesome. Tonight just told us everything that we need to know in terms of our fight for Liberia. We need to be here on this stage of reform. Thanks to all of you for following us. Thanks to all of you for giving us, your time. And my people, on this note, we'd like to bring Unapologetic to an end. This has been a great conversation here by your boy Duke, Gabriel Peter. We will be back on next Wednesday, 8:30 Eastern Time, with another tough talking show and great contents for you to follow. Please follow our main page on Unapologetic. Share our live after we get through. Get it to more people. Because if anybody can share it with one body, everybody together can be able to move the needle in terms of helping this economy. On that note, y'all thank you, my people.
Yeah.
Appreciate it.
Ciao.
Wake up. Don't walk, don't try. Supposed to be high. Kilo con one chef water. They feel when I'm mad. When I land so free on a sofa floor. So far, so good. Let me see you. Let me see you.
Yes, ladies and gentlemen, it has been an amazing show tonight. We have a new way moving forward. And I tell you, man, Unapologetics will continue to set the bar straight. Make sure that our people get some quality information. For all our people in Liberia, Monrovia, that followed the debut of our podcast tonight, I want to say thank you. If you're in the diaspora, I want to say thank you to you as well. Yeah, man. We appreciate all of you. Great feedback. Listening. Just because we go back and forth on social media doesn't mean that we cannot have a civil discussion. We mean good for Liberia. Sometimes it gets heated, but we appreciate all of you. A special thanks to my boy Michelle, Miata Dakina, Barbara. I saw Maud in the house, one of my biggest supporters. And I want to say thank you to the man Fred, Rosalind Dick, Harris Tucker. Looks like tonight was your first night on Unapologetic. I appreciate you. Lafayette Curtis, Ja Eddie, Mortier, Rosalind Cooper. I see Wilfer Carton in the house. Eugenia Rouet. We're gonna book our way out tonight. Another great session. 1 o'clock. I see you all. Yeah. Just trying to fly through the comments here and tell people thank you for joining us. You better go low, low, low. Even right. Jack and T. Hey, what's up? Zora. Sierra in the house. I appreciate you. There's a comment there I saw while the show was going on. Cole, thank you. I want to recognize everybody. I apologize if I don't call your name, but I appreciate you. I'm just strolling two things. Jackie was here. Oh, man, we had a lot of people here to go through the comments, man. My eyes turn in. A tiny twit. And I saw the post, that reference Wante. I'm trying to find that particular post. Oh, my gosh. But anyways, listen. My people, I don't want to keep you on here. I appreciate all of you. It has been a blessing. We're up to something. Give us all your suggestions. I come on at 8:30 Eastern Standard Time. Every Wednesday, we're on Facebook. We're here. We're talking about issues impacting Liberia, talking about a Cummings vision. Next week, we're going to have another great session. We'll bring more people on board. In addition to that, every time we talk, the first part of our conversation would be about the regular issues, and then we'll pivot into the solution aspect, discussing Mr. Cummings' 100 days plan. So again, I just want to say thank you. Ruth, thank you. I appreciate it. After this live ends, just continue to share it, bring more people in, because I'm telling you, my people, I'm telling you, if all of us collectively can support each other, we can change Liberia. So I want to say, I want to tell you thank you, and let me go ahead. Thank you.
This is what science the system fighting, my people the system shaking. We want to the teaching, but they now one listening. The system fighting, my people the system shaking. We want to the teaching, but they now one listening. When they killing people every day, then the system shaking. Worker crying for salary, then the system shaking. Teachers working hard but no pay, then the system shaking. When the children selling on the street, then the system shaking. Back to the hall and now they doing, then the system shaking. Then the system shaking. The system shaking without suffering.
Yeah, the system shaking.
People benefiting.
We're gonna fight to the end. Mr. Cummings, my people, won't be easy, but we get there. On that note, from the bottom of my heart, the depths of my heart, I really do appreciate all of you, your time, just spending whatever amount of minutes here and following us. We greatly appreciate it. Tell other ANC partisans, tell other Liberians, we're here to have a conversation. If you're interested in hearing all of the things that Mr. Cummings can do for our people in Liberia, follow us. We're going to talk about the issues, and we're going to bring people on who know this stuff. That's what it's all about. A nice debut in Monrovia on radio station. We're going to continue as well. My name is Duke Estrada JJ. Unapologetic I am. I believe in the greater transformation of Liberia. I do believe in Mr. Cummings' vision for Liberia, because I think collectively, if we support him, we can shake the system and bring real change. On that note, I want to say tell you, all of you, thank you. It's been a blessing. ANC strong, my people. Let's have a good night.
They say hope for change, but that is that we can see. He will Google platform, send no pulling a little line. Look at people follow in person, man.
It's about leadership in Africa. And until Africans demand the sort of leadership they need to fix their problems, we will have the continuous issues you suggest.
Long before becoming the head of a major political party, Alexander B. Cummings was making history in the corporate world as the first Liberian to run a major section of Coca-Cola, a Fortune 500 company.
First thing I can tell you about him is he has a big heart. He loves his Liberian people, and he always loved Liberian people and his country, always. He's a giving person. He likes to give people the benefit of the doubt. He'll trust you first until you prove otherwise.
I ran the Coke business in Nigeria. I was business unit president for about half of Africa. And then for almost 7 years, I ran an entire Africa group for the Coca-Cola company.
Born in 1956 at the old government hospital in Monrovia, Alex, the third of 4 children and the only son, he would attend elementary school at Demonstration and high school at the College of West Africa.
Alec and myself, we became friends in 1971. That's about 45 years ago. We met in the 10th grade, and we just became fast friends.
I love music. If people want to know, I actually like to dance. It surprises people that I do. And actually, I think I'm a pretty good dancer, by the way.
He's a good dancer. Yes. But so am I.